Our guest lecturer today, our visiting artist, is Michele O'Marah. She was born in 1967. She received her BFA in 91 from the Tyler School of Art in Philadelphia. She's working primarily with video. Her projects often involve appropriated narratives, such as the piece Valley Girl, which is a feature-length remake of the 80s teen movie. Her work has been exhibited at Mary Goldman Gallery in Los Angeles, as well as in group exhibitions at Debs and Company in New York, the London Institute of Contemporary Art, and the West Coast Survey Show Baja to Vancouver. Her latest project, called Peacehead, is a thriller based on classic 70s murder dramas combined with an investigation of the rainbow. It has been shown at the New Langton Arts Center in San Francisco as part of a two-person exhibition with Kota Izawa, at Mary Goldman Gallery in Los Angeles, and Art in General in New York. Please welcome Michele O'Marah.
I went to art school in Philadelphia at Tyler School of Art, and I know a lot of artists in Los Angeles, and I know a lot of the other artists that have come to this lecture series, and I always sort of usually start out these lectures by talking about how inadequate my art education is. And I think a lot of the times it's because I am a little bit defensive, because most of the people that I know who are really successful had these pretty amazing educations in the Los Angeles sort of art school sort of system, which I think is a pretty established thing. And there's extremely famous people teaching here, and everybody I know went to graduate school with these world-class artists, and I didn't do any of that. My photography, I was a photography major, and it was a pretty poor department. It was there was a $3,000 a year budget for the entire department, and there was nobody famous. And so I think the way I sort of developed in as an artist or to make work really had a lot more to do with sort of this kind of clumsy DIY sort of punk rock aesthetic that I think is a really sort of common sort of culture among undergraduate art students. And I don't think there was a lot of really formal art training that I had. And I think it sort of made its way into my work, which I think has this really sort of homespun quality and has become sort of maybe more art referenced, but really in the beginning wasn't at all art referenced. And I think that the biggest influence on me initially was probably music and punk rock music. And everybody that I knew was in art school, but they also wanted to be musicians, which I also think is really common sort of in undergrads. And I think most of the things that I did when I first started making work was to make music videos for bands. And I probably spent 2 years doing that, and maybe a couple more, I don't know. But then I finally sort of I was reading a book maybe about the Velvet Underground one time, and I was oh, I should just make a movie about the Velvet Underground. It's got so much great mystery and culture and so many great myths about it. And somebody had proposed that they were going to do a show in New York but in a couple of weeks, and I was well, of course I don't have time to make the entire movie in a couple of weeks. So maybe I'll just make a trailer for the movie. Which is what I did. I ended up just making a 5-minute version of the story of the Velvet Underground. And when I finished it, I was well, why would I need to make the movie now? Because it's this is so much, it sort of has everything you need to really say about them, encapsulated in 5 minutes. And that sort of started this first series of work that I did that I sort of have any respect for, I guess, which was a series of 7 short videos, and that's called For Those About to Rock. And each one of them is about a different band. And they range in time for about 5 minutes to 13 minutes. And it starts with the Velvet Underground, and it ends with Bikini Kill. And it's sort of my interpretation of the history of punk rock. I was going to show you 2 pieces. And I was going to show you one, the first 2, which are actually the Velvet Underground and the Runaways, and they're each about 5 minutes long. So I'll show you those, and then I'll talk about it a little bit more. So.
but I'm gonna try for the kingdom if I can. When I put a spike into my vein. Record company.
Wow. So now all I need is a band.
VELVET. It's named after a book. Look, did you? Yeah, we sent you a tape. Oh, it's one.
Or something else, like slow motion of like flower blooming or something. And maybe like dancers, like some really cool dancers, maybe like S&M kind of bondage dance style.
Yeah, I'm still here. You didn't. Well, would there be a good time when I could call back?
This band is driving me bananas. They're really driving me crazy. Look at this album, Black. Okay, what's the name? White Light, White Heat, The Velvet Underground. These people are nuts.
Then I tell you. Then I tell you things aren't quite the same. Things aren't quite the same.
Films and lights and dancers. Wait, a really cool female lead singer.
Black album. Nothing on it. You know? What is this? The age of doom? We're in the age of, like, wildflowers and everything, you know? This band, they're driving me up the wall. That's it. I know how they expect me to promote this. They're not gonna play this shit on the radio. Who's gonna buy this? Who is gonna buy this? You know, I can't even believe one person even bought their other album. That's it. Underground, right? Because they're gonna go below the ground. They're gonna sink way down. You know, they're not gonna make it. You know, then if I can't do anything, no one else can. That's it. They're over with.
This is bullshit, you know? When the fuck are we gonna start making any money? You guys really piss me off. Oh. Yeah, I like your look.
You want to be in a rock band?
Yeah? Who are you? He's serious. I'm Joan Jett and we're gonna start a rock band. It's gonna be rock and roll heaven. Are you in or you out?
We're the only teenage band. What we're doing is important. We're giving girls a voice that they never had before. We're singing about things that girls only think about but never say, and that's what makes us the hottest band of the 70s. Like when people look back 10 or 20 years from now, they're going to remember 1976 as the year the Runaways revolutionized rock music.
Very, very, very voluptuous. Yeah, slutty, I guess slutty. Sure, slutty. There's nothing they won't do, you know what I mean? There's 4 of them. 16, 17, beautiful, beautiful girls. Chicks in rock. Chicks in rock. Yeah, guitars. Yeah, that's what I mean.
You know, when I first met Kim, he began calling me dog meat. Like it was a term of endearment. You know, like dog meat, dog puke, dog piss. I guess he has a thing with dogs.
Joan, so I called you a bitch. Relax. It's all part of the game. Publicity, rock and roll, you know.
I'm not like you, man. I don't have a house to go back to. I don't have anything to miss. But when I get back, I'm gonna be someone. Cherie, Little Miss Priss. I'm here to be in a band. I'm serious about my music, all right? I'm not here just trying to be a pretty little face like you. So why don't you get serious like the rest of us? I'm sick of you. Cherie this, Cherie that. Fucking grow up, all right? Act like a musician.
Shut up, Lita.
I just need to relax.
I mean, I don't know. Do you ever wonder where all our money goes? I mean, I don't know. What about all this fucking money we're supposed to be making? Where is it? I mean, where the fuck is our money, you know? I mean, we play every night and, like, where is it? Have you seen any money?
You're fucking pathetic. All you girls are fucking pathetic. This is my fucking vision. This is my fucking dream. My songs, my girls. You think you can make it on your own? You go try and make it on your own, you fucking... Go ahead, try.
So, yeah, so this is like maybe like the first project I did that's sort of like, I think, in line with maybe my more recent works, or the first like sort of mature piece that I did. And Also, the other bands in the series are it's the Velvet Underground and the Runaways, the Germs, Pussy Galore, Dinosaur Jr., Babes in Toyland, and Bikini Kill. And I mean, there's a lot of things I think that this piece has that a lot of my other work has. Like, I mean, you can sort of tell that like it's got about the like crappiest kind of production value like ever. I mean, my pieces now are a little bit better than this, but you know, like. One thing is that I, you know, have always been like a really big like film buff or like real like lover of movies, but you know, whenever I would meet these like film students, they would also be like telling me how, you know, they'd spent 5 years like raising like $30,000 to make this like 5-minute short, you know, and like, you know, it's like the whole process had taken them like 6 or 7 years or something, which is like never sounded very appealing to me. And also like I'm not a writer at all. Like I'm not really interested in writing stories. I'm not interested in telling a story. What I find attractive about sort of maybe the idea of these videos is I mean I like to play these two because I find that you know, they're like pretty old, sort of established sort of bands. Like it's pretty common for people to know about the Runaways and Velvet Underground. Some of the other bands, even though they're pretty big indie rock bands, less people sort of maybe know the sort of ins and outs of the stories behind that band. So sometimes the videos can seem a little bit insular and people can't follow them very well. But I made the videos really not to like, I guess in a sense, like I was making the videos for people really like myself, like who I considered sort of maybe my community, you know, which was, I thought, like a pretty big group of people who had been following this type of music and sort of mythological, you know, made these people seem really important. And like they had all these stories about them, and people knew all this stuff about all these, you know, like the people I was friends with would talk, you know, like, oh, this is like what, you know, Kim Gordon likes to do, blah 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 blah, or you know, I heard this story about Jay Mascis and blah blah blah, and like in a certain sort of way, like these were the celebrities that the people I knew sort of really revered. And so I was really interested in making the work for the people in those communities, and not to talk about really who those people were, but like what the myths were behind those people, and like why is it really that we sort of make these people into sort of these bigger than life people when they're really just, most of them, like schmoes, you know, that are never really, they're not really making that much money. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, they're certainly not celebrities, but within a certain community, they are celebrities. And sort of the idea about how we build that up, and like what the community, the sort of the rumors that are circulating within the community. So in my way, it's not really about those people, but it's more about the people that are interested in those people. And that's what I think a lot of my subsequent work has sort of in common with this piece is, even though I've made like the next work that I was going to show you is a piece called Valley Girl, which I always assume a lot of people are familiar with the original movie, but sort of like the older I get, the like less true that is. Because this is like my favorite high school movie in high school. And I did remake the entire movie. It's like a 2-hour art project. But you know, like one of like the job that I have, like sort of how I make my money is to work as a PA on commercials and film stuff. And you know, like the people, I make friends with, obviously, with the people on the set or whatever, and they always sort of want to be supportive, and they're like, oh no, we really want to see your work, you know? And so like sometimes they've come to see things or different screenings or whatever, and it's like they're always pretty horrified, you know, because I think they're like assuming that what I'm trying to do is remake the film or like make a movie. And a lot of people, I think, are sort of under the assumption that I'm trying to make a movie because I've like made a 2-hour narrative project. But I'm not trying to make, you know, a film. I'm making an art project that happens to be 2 hours long and have a narrative base. But what I'm really interested in talking about is, you know, how the story is told. not what the story is, but how it's told and how it's constructed. What are the significant points that they're trying to bring up, and like how does that impact society? I'm much more interested in those types of things, in like sort of the meaning of the story, and that's really what I'm trying to do. And I think in a way my sort of like crappy technique is what has, you know, is what sort of makes that happen, or sort of allows that to happen. Like, I never try to hide the fact that I have no money. Like, there's no attempt at trying to make this a seamless illusion. Like, all the seams in my work are really, really obvious. You know, like the sets are obviously like flat backdrops, and the people are obviously like not of that time period, or are of the wrong age, or you know, like this. The props are obviously cardboard, you know, all those things are really like upfront in what I try to do. And maybe my own sort of like unskilled sense of timing in terms of editing and different things like that sort of work to deconstruct the sort of general narrative of a normal film. Obviously the piece is 2 hours long. But I have like a short preview. It's like a 15-minute preview piece, and that's what I was going to show you now. And let's see.
They'll be playing at the Hollywood Bowl tonight. All sold out, but we'll be giving away 6 more tickets on this beautiful Saturday morning. 75 degrees in Hollywood. You've been listening to 1 hour of non-stop power rock on Holly Power 92.
At the top of the hour, here in the valley, it's a balmy 83 degrees. Gotta go. But first, here's the story of my life.
Start a family. Like, I get all puffed out and all for sure. Barf me out, gag me, how could you?
What, for sure?
I'd be freaking out. Like, I'd be scarfing up everything in sight and like, I don't know, you know? And like, I'd get like so fat, and then what would happen to my zits? I'd be like so grody. It would be totally gnarly birth control. Like, he's not so awesome.
Awesome's not the word.
I'm sure. Well, he's okay, I guess.
Who am I kidding?
Oh, yeah, sure. He makes my mouth water.
Brad will be at my party tonight.
Yeah, and that'll attract like every girl west of Van Nuys Boulevard. The place is gonna be packed.
He's so awesome.
Julie, don't be so greedy. I mean, Tommy is such a hunk. Save some for the rest of us. I mean, he's so bitchin'. I can't believe you would even give Brad the time of day.
Yeah, but Tommy can be such a dork, you know? I mean, his bod is great, but his brains can be such bad news.
But he really is so bitchin', Julie. You really are so lucky.
Yeah, but we've been together for so long now, you know? And I'm starting to feel like a piece of furniture, like an old chair, you know?
Oh, bad news.
Yeah, I definitely need something new.
Sierra Vista, please. Sierra Vista. Hey man, Sierra Vista Place. It's a party. It's gonna be hot. I've seen the chicks. You gotta trust me on this one. It's gonna be a good one. Oh, it's in the valley.
What?
The party, it's in the valley.
I'm not going to the valley.
What? Come on.
I'm not going to the valley.
What? Trust me.
I'm not going to the valley.
Trust me.
I'm not going to the valley. Okay, smart guy. We're here, now what?
Mingle. Check it out. Can I pick it or what?
Why don't you lower it? Don't want to raise a flag or nothing.
Just looking for some action. Let's check out these. How's your mother?
She's dead.
I burned out.
What is up, man?
Ooh, hey, Tommy.
Ah, I just got busy. Pretty good. Pretty good stuff. Nice, huh?
And so the wind blows?
Yeah, and the words come out.
Hey, why don't you get out of here, man?
Why don't you make me get out of here? Anyway.
Hey!
What's up? Come on! Come on, man.
Oh my God, Sam!
Get off me, Skip! What's up? Come on! Come on, man.
Oh my God, Sam!
Come on, man.
Oh my God, Sam!
Get off me, Skip! Get out of here, man!
Fuck you!
Hey, come on. Hey. Okay. Hey, I don't have to hurt you guys. Kiss my ass.
Jerk! Don't be afraid.
What are you doing here? Do you have a death wish or something?
No, that's what Fred said.
Fred said.
Never mind. Do you live around here?
Like, this is very strange. What are you doing back here?
I forgot my comb.
Oh, really now?
Well, to tell you the truth, I was thinking that you and I could
Good what?
get out of here.
Like I don't think you'd be any more welcome down there right now.
I mean, leave the party.
I'm so sure.
Cool. I'll meet you out front.
Wait. Where are we gonna go?
I don't care.
What are we gonna do?
Anything.
Okay. But, like, I have to bring my best friend along.
That's fine. I'll be waiting for you.
Julie, I don't want to go. I told you.
It'll be fun.
No, come on. They're not even here. Let's go back.
No.
Julie.
There they are.
Where?
Come here.
Oh no, not those guys. Yes. They're hoods. They're juvenile delinquents. You've lost your mind.
No.
Look at them.
Well, they look ridiculous, okay? But do it for me.
No, I'm really freaking out.
Just do it for me.
No.
Come on.
Julie.
So I never really actually explained what the, actual real movie is, but it's kind of just like this, like Romeo and Juliet story, like set in the 80s. That's like centers around this girl Julie, who is like a valley girl, and which was like this like big thing in the 80s. And you guys are from LA, so you know what that means, valley girl. And, I'm from Pennsylvania, so it was, really foreign to me. It was, like, really novelty, like, ooh, Moon Exactly, like, Valley Girl. Anyway, she has this, like, really jockey boyfriend who she breaks up with at the beginning of the movie. And she, like, goes to this party that's, like, crashed by these, like, two new wave guys. Obviously, like, Nicolas Cage, this was, like, his real first starring role that was, like, put him on that path to stardom. And she falls in love with the new wave guy, but like none of her friends really like that because he's different than they are. And so it becomes this like conflict where she has to choose between her friends or the guy that she really likes, and she initially chooses her friends and gets back with her jockey boyfriend. And then at the end, of course, there's like Nicolas Cage is so like overwrought with his like passion for Julie that he like has this whole series of interventions where he tries to like win her back through comedy. Like they go to a movie and like Nicolas Cage is the guy taking the tickets, and like they go to a drive-in restaurant, and Nicolas Cage is like the waiter, or like he's like sleeping on her lawn when she wakes up, but none of this really works until like it's the big prom night, of course, because like every sort of teenage movie has to like end in a big giant prom scene. That's like solely like required, so it's like prom night, and like the sleazy jock boyfriend has like arranged to have like the Valley Sheraton like after the prom where he's gonna like seduce Julie the heroine. But Nicolas Cage crashes the prom, and like as Julie and Tommy are being named like prom king and queen, like the teacher's reading this speech about like how noble they are to the assembled crowd. Nicolas Cage is backstage like fighting with Tommy, and of course he wins, and they run away together, and like that's the end of the film, is that like Julie is with Nicolas Cage, or Randy, her real love. And a lot of my friends were like, I just don't like Julie because she ended up going with Tommy, and that's just not right. And it became this like whole topic of discussion when we were making the piece. But obviously it's like a Hollywood movie, so there has to be some kind of conflict, right? Because like otherwise, like what would be the drama in the movie for her just to be like, well, fuck you guys, I'm just gonna do my own thing, and then there would be like no moral lesson, like you wouldn't learn that you're supposed to like actually sort of stand up for your own integrity And, you know, despite what your friends may think or peer pressure, what you should really do is follow your heart, you know. And it also has to have, you know, this like ultra romanticism, you know, and it's like something that, of course, like is completely stupid, you know, and it's like whenever you're watching so many, you know, either television shows or movies, you're like, oh, what a crock, you know, like this is just complete crap. But at the same time, you know, you're like totally suckered into it, you know, or that's my response anyway. I mean, sometimes like less and less, but still, of course, I like can't help but like cry at some like stupid television show sometimes, you know, like that stupid one where they like make over houses, you know. And that's sort of like my response with Valley Girl is that, like, you know, as a teenager, I was like, oh, it's so romantic. You know, he does all those things to win her heart back, you know, which is like, I don't know anybody who's ever had that experience in real life, you know, as far as you know, none of my friends ever had like some guy try to like, despite all odds, you know, like be this Prince Charming and like show up wherever she was, you know, and like pledge their undying love for her. Like that never happened. But, you know, it would sure, wouldn't that be just so wonderful if it did, you know? So, like, you know that it's crap, but at the same time, like, it's, you know, there's this element of this, like, fairy tale element to it that, like, is somewhat appealing. And you can't help but be, like, a sucker for it, you know? And this particular movie draws me in for a lot of reasons. And I think, you know, that sort of being the overall like sort of bigger picture, but it has lots of like little nuanced characters in it that are pretty charming and funny as well. Like Julie's parents are these real hippies and they get stoned in the movie and are always like telling her to like follow her own dreams and stuff like that, which is really entertaining. And I think it's a really cleverly made film. And you know, and again, like the overall message of it is one of personal integrity, which like to me is like really like a subject that I find really interesting and important to talk about. So, but when I made it, one of the things that was also sort of, you know, like I'm not just somebody who wants to maybe like point fingers at Hollywood or different things also and just go like, oh, isn't this just a bunch of junk? Because sort of for those reasons I was just talking about, where I do fall for like the schlock like all the time, you know, even though I know it's schlock. So what I really tried to do with this piece, and I think maybe, I mean, I don't know exactly how effective the 15-minute trailer is at doing it, but I mean, it's obviously, you know, it's like, it's pretty like farcical, you know, it's like everything's like a facade, you know, like there's so much of that sort of flat backdrop, and the acting is obviously, you know, pretty awful in a lot of parts of it, you know. And like the guy who plays Julie's father, that's like the last scene, you know, he's actually younger than she is, you know, so like all the ages are all messed up, you know. And we shot it over like a period of like a year, where actually like 3/4 of it I shot like all like within like 6 weeks or 2 months maybe. And it was like every week I would like, I wasn't working or anything, but I would like build a set and then like shoot and then like take down the set and then build another set and then shoot and then to build it and take it down. And I just did that for like maybe 7 or 8 weeks, I don't know. And we shot probably like 3/4 or 2/3 of the movie that way. And then like, then the main character, Julie, she actually is an actress, and her sort of best friend, the one that like she like pulls out to go on the date with her and she doesn't want to go, they're actually working actors. And I wanted to do that, I guess, because like, you know, I knew that everything would be sort of like this chaotic, sort of like ridiculous kind of finished quality to it. And in a lot of ways, my ideas were, well, the failure is part of the formula of the piece, you know, because like as a single person, there's like no way you could actually you can't, like a single person can't stand in for an entire Hollywood crew. I mean, that's like, you know, preposterous for like a feature-length film. So there's obviously going to be parts where it just like is awful, you know, like the sound is terrible, the lights look really, really bad, or just like, just whatever, whatever kind of technical aspect is going to be like really pathetic, or the set's going to look really bad. Something like that is part of the formula, like that's built into it, because no matter how hard you try, you can never kind of replicate all those jobs. So I just decided to like let that randomly happen wherever it would happen. I'll just try as hard as I can, but obviously it's going to be sort of bad. And that was sort of like inherent in my thinking as to how the final piece would come out. But I knew that that would happen, so sort of in order to like sort of capture that sort of reverent quality that I actually did have for the original piece, like that sort of wanting to believe in the fairy tale, even though I know it's crap. I wanted to have like a real actor in the central role who like sort of kind of conveyed a sense of sincerity or some kind of believability to the actual plot. Otherwise, I thought it would be just like really tedious to watch this like 2-hour piece that was just nothing but a farce. And because I don't like, I think sometimes people look at it and they think it's like one of those, like joke movies or something, like a real parody, or like, it's like, how they do those like horror spoofs, like where it's like, like Drew Barrymore picks up the phone, and it's like on the other line, or so they're really over the top, and it's just like sort of all the tropes of that genre sort of like played up, and I don't, that's not what I'm trying to do, I think like sort of to dismiss it really just as camp, it's like sort of like I get really disappointed if someone just thought of it like that. Because I do have that reference for the original, and I am trying to sort of talk about sort of maybe this quality that Hollywood can sort of have, where even though you know that this is a lie, you still want to believe it, because it's sort of an exciting and romantic construction, and a lot of times you sort of can't help yourself. And sort of that kind of, power that's like in sort of pop culture and mass media is sort of interesting to me. So, oh yeah, and then I guess I was also going to show you, because, I do show these pieces in art galleries, because I consider what I do to be an art practice, and and I make art objects. They happen to a lot of times be time-based, but I also, if you can't tell by my lovely video, I construct a lot of the props and that are in the work, the pieces also, and I show them in the gallery along with the videos. And so I have, I've only had like two solo shows, and I think the last one I did was like much more successful integration of the props with the video, mainly because that was a piece that was on monitors, so there was actually light in the gallery. And Valley Girl, I mean, it's pretty essential that Valley Girl be a projection, and just to the sort of like limit of the, sort of the budget of the gallery, and being like a first time exhibiting artist, you're not able to have this like luxurious like 2 rooms. So the most recent piece that I've done, which is my second solo show at Mary's Gallery, which I originally did because of the New Langton Art Center in San Francisco. They actually gave me a little bit of money to make it, which was really nice. It's a 3-channel piece. It's called Peacehead, and I think it's a lot different, sort of, or different from my other work, because the sort of construction of it is a lot more complicated. And like in the sense that before, like everything I had done was to sort of watch, have like, it's like Valley Girl, it's the movie and I just remade it. And then, White Diamonds, Agent Orange, it's like, it's this interview and I remade it. Or even the Vietnam part, it's like pretty much just all these different scenes from movies, that go together, and it's pretty straightforward, like it's pretty easy to get. And Peacehead is like, it's more of a montage work. And it has a sort of overly complicated sort of, I don't know, I keep reading these reviews of it, and then it's like, it takes them like, because, a review of a magazine can only be like so long, and like by the time they sort of explain what the actual project is, it's like their 500 words are over, because it's like sort of like really complicated, which I can't figure out is like if that's a big downfall to the project or not. so I wanted to maybe talk a little bit about it and how I sort of came to that piece, and you know, maybe sort of how my work has changed in the sort of evolution between the two projects a little bit. So I had this idea, like I've always sort of, like, location is a really interesting idea to me too. Like, I think because I've traveled a lot, or sort of like I'm really interested in identity, like of location. Like I always wanted to do like an East Coast versus West Coast show. Like I'm really fixated with that idea. And so I had this idea, like I was going to do a project that had to do a lot with like sort of like maybe the identity of Los Angeles or California. Which of course it's like I had just made something like that, so I don't know why I thought I would make another one. But so I was like sort of in this weird way, like watching all these like surfing videos and all this stuff, and then I was like, God, I'm so not surfing. Like, what am I even thinking about? Like, you know, it's like I hate beach culture, you know. So I bagged that. But I was still like watching a lot of maybe sort of like things that had to do with Los Angeles or whatever. And so this first film that I was going to show you that was like a big influence on this project, this first film, I'm going to show you the whole thing. I'm just going to show you part of it. This is this movie, The Long Goodbye, which is, this is a Robert Altman movie from the 70s, and it was like a really big influence on this last project for a bunch of reasons. Because, you know, I was watching all these sort of classic 70s projects that were, you know, like The Parallax View and The Conversation, and, you know, these are like super klute, you know, like really like on the golden pantheon of like 70s filmmaking, you know, like this is it, Hollywood's like best of the best. And but you know, it's like also this sort of like super like anti-government time, you know, it's like post-Vietnam, Watergate, and they all have the same sort of like you know, basic theme to them, which is that, like, you know, there's like a murder that takes place, and then some guy is who's like friend of the murdered person starts to investigate like why the murder happened, and it turns out that it was like, you know, a giant corporation that wanted him dead for some kind of reason, or it was the government trying to hush him up, you know, so all this conspiracy stuff. And you know, and I thought that that was pretty good stuff. Yeah, The Conversation, it's pretty good. And, you know, and my idea, like, you know, in thinking sort of The Long Goodbye, and then this sort of taking something that was in the 40s and sort of transposing it onto the 70s, I was sort of like taking the idea of the 70s and sort of maybe transposing it on sort of contemporary, you know, politics now. Because in sort of my view, you know, it's like a pretty, you know, low point for American politics. It's like pretty shockingly horrible. So I like the idea maybe of sort of having this sort of like anti, you know, all those sort of like rhetoric of the 70s films of sort of being sort of maybe anti-corporate and anti sort of like, you know, government, and sort of trying to make them sort of in a voice that sort of applied to the situation, you know, we're in right now. So that kind of was like the idea for the video. So it's a little bit complicated. And so it's essentially set up as a montage where I was watching all these different films and then taping the scenes that I thought were interesting or that had really good dialogue, and sort of putting them in a line. And they don't really make a narrative from beginning to end, but they sort of suggest a narrative and sort of like include a lot of things that you would expect to find in a narrative. And I sort of also am really on this like big idea that like we sort of have like, you know, sort of media language, and that when you know, and I mean, and Hollywood knows that too. That's what all those like silly spoof movies are about, right? Like when you hear the it's like we all know what that means, you know. It's like, oh, it's the creepy guy, and that's what happens in the real movies, you know. It's like they get a wrong number or something like that, and like so they like say like, oh, well, these are the 10 things that always happen in the horror movies. We as like sort of viewers who grew up with that sort of understand that as its own language, you know, like so we can read those different signs and we understand those all those things add up to, and that's how I try to make this piece. So it doesn't really make its own like beginning to end narrative, but it really talks about maybe sort of like what we expect to happen in narratives, and using all those different things to sort of, you know, build up or make really a point, or sort of maybe construct those, use those building blocks to sort of build something in a different form than we're not used to, maybe. You know, it's like, it's the language that we're used to, but the narrative doesn't really add up. So it's trying to maybe take the language of Hollywood and sort of turn it upside down a little bit. It's a different way maybe of deconstructing a narrative than what I was trying to do with Valley Girl. Those are the types of things that I sort of am talking about. You know, it's like the tropes of the genre where it's like these things are like repeated over and over again, and we sort of like understand them subconsciously. So like in a sense, PSAD is an attempt to kind of rearrange those blocks into like a different form.
Well, I don't have to tell you guys things are bad. You know things are real bad.
Yeah, everyone's out of work or scared of losing their jobs.
Basically, $1 buys, what would you say, a nickel's worth?
Yeah, if that. You know, the banks are like, they're all going bust.
And shopkeepers with guns under their counters.
Yeah, punks are running wild in the streets.
You should see my neighborhood.
Yeah, I've seen your neighborhood.
My thing is, there's basically no one seems to know what to do.
And there's no end in sight.
Yeah, and then you can go home, but you know, like, you think you're safe, but your food is unfit to eat. The air is not safe to breathe.
Yeah, pop on the tube, some newscaster broads telling you how many homicides were that day, 63 stabbings, blah, blah, blah. I just can't wait to get about 6 or 7 beers in me. Call it a night.
You got any beer right now?
What the boss said about that crap.
Fuck the boss.
Alright, I'm staying out of this.
Stay out of everyone. What's your problem, Freewell?
Look, I'm at the point where I think everyone, everywhere, and everything is going crazy. Including me.
Look, we all know things are bad. We all know things are crazy.
So we don't go out anymore.
Yeah, I just sit in the house, slowly watch the world get smaller and smaller. That's what I want to do.
Well, this band.
Yeah, please leave me alone. I'm in my living room. I'm just, you know, what people would say, like, don't, like, the world, like, don't bother me. I'm in my living room. At least just let me have my toaster and my radio, and I won't say anything. Just leave me alone. Look, I don't want to riot. I don't want to protest. I don't want to run to my congressman because really, you know what? I wouldn't know what to do.
You've got to say, I'm a human being, goddammit, and my life has value.
You want me to get up and say, I'm as mad as hell and I'm not going to hate you anymore?
Oh, I did that once. Still in this fucking band.
I never did that.
I'm going to try it.
And yeah, and here's. Oh well, we don't really need to see anymore. I mean, you get the idea.